Stefon Diggs to New England. We'll break it all down here on Patscast.
We ain't digging no more. He's landed in town. Stefon's with the Patriots now. 3 years, 69.
Welcome to Patscast. I'm Brad Whitaker. It's very good to be with you because the New England Patriots finally have a true number one wide receiver. Might be a number two on some teams, but on the Patriots, they finally have a true number one wide receiver after speculation over the last few days and his visit to Gillette Stadium to meet with the team and go through a physical. Stefon Diggs has reached an agreement with the New England Patriots. 3 years, $69 million, and just $26 million of that is guaranteed. So we'll see how the final numbers ultimately play out here. But this seems to be a good deal, right? You're looking at roughly less than half of that is guaranteed. So there's got to be a ton of incentives in there based on obviously his performance, but also his health, his durability. We know that Stefon Diggs is coming off of a torn ACL. So Patriots, we're bargain shopping here. Let's be honest. There's a reason DK Metcalf isn't in New England. There's a reason they haven't traded for Brandon Ayuk and taken on that massive contract. It's because the Patriots just don't want to spend money on wide receivers. And that's been their strategy for basically a decade now, and it really hasn't worked out well. But the truth is, the reason they don't have good wide receivers is because they don't draft well. And that's how you develop in the NFL. And the only reason the Patriots have to make a move like this is because they've struck out repeatedly on players like N'Keal Harry, on Tyquan Thornton, these early round players that were supposed to develop into real stars, where players like A.J. Brown were taken around them and they turn into stars, and the Patriots were unable to develop them. So we have to bargain shop in free agency, and us as fans have to sit there and be frustrated waiting for a move like this to finally take place. But it's happened. Stefon Diggs, when healthy, at least at his prime, certainly a top 5 NFL wide receiver. Is he still that? We'll see. This just broke seconds ago. I actually recorded another podcast right before this, which will come out tomorrow if you want to hear a ton of tackle talk. But this story is still breaking. Mike Giardi says, we'll see what the real numbers look like, but on the surface, that's a healthy commitment to Diggs by the Patriots. 3 years, healthy commitment. He's a gamer and pre-injury, one of the best route runners in the NFL. He'll be 32 in December and suffered the ACL tear October 27th. I was told he's ahead of schedule. So that's good news. Breaking news there. Stefon Diggs is ahead of schedule, at least according to Mike Giardi, in terms of coming back from his knee injury. These types of recoveries generally take about 9 to 12 months. It took Kendrick Bourne almost 12 months. He was in that time range there. Kendrick Bourne, obviously up there in age, and he's in the latter half of his career, the tail end of his career at this point. And Stefon Diggs, arguably also in the twilight of his career, but he is 32. Who knows? You know, there are players that play well into their 30s, and depending on how he can bounce back from this injury, he could still have a long career. But this contract is going to finish when he's 35, and unless there's opt-out options and things that we're not aware of yet that haven't been reported. But this is a good deal. Patriots have a 3-year commitment, at least on the surface, from Stefon Diggs. Less than half of the $69 million that they'll be paying is guaranteed money. So you're bringing in a guy who, when healthy, if he can get back to true form, will be a solid number one, top 10, potentially NFL wide receiver. But I think more importantly, and part of the reason the Patriots were willing to bite the bullet on this and wait 6 to 8 weeks, however long it's going to take for Diggs to finally take the field this season coming back from an injury, is because he is a good veteran leader in the locker room. Lots of great things were said about him in Houston last year. He ran his mouth in Minnesota because he wasn't targeted enough. He ran his mouth at Josh Allen in Buffalo because he wasn't targeted enough. He'll probably run his mouth in New England when he doesn't get targeted enough. This just comes with the territory with diva wide receivers. But other than that, he isn't that much of a distraction, right? Maybe I'm rationalizing here a little bit, but from everything I've heard, he is a real leader in the locker room, And he's arguably the best route runner in the NFL. And that is something guys like Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, even Demario Douglas entering the third year of his career, that's going to be so valuable for them to learn from a guy like Stefon Diggs and how to effectively run routes. So this is exciting news. The timeline from the injury, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, this generally takes 9 to 12 months. If it's 9 months, he's still going to start practicing well into training camp, but 9 months you'd be ready for week 1. 12 months, well, then we're talking about a debut sometime late October, early November. So it's going to be somewhere in that time range. But Mike Giardi reporting that what he's been told is that Stefon Diggs is ahead of schedule on the injury. So good news coming from New England today, bringing in a true number 1 wide receiver. I really am happy. I'm even happier now with the Mac Hollins move. I think he's going to be a real strong, another veteran presence to bring there. Kind of a weird guy, walks around barefoot. He's really into the grounding thing and all that stuff. But he's a good football player and the type of guy who I think is going to be a solid number 2 or number 3 option to Stefon Diggs once he's back and healthy. And look, I think this receiving room is good enough. I think this is good enough. If they don't take anyone in the draft, if they just stick with who they have right now, is this a top 10 NFL receiving core? No. Is it a bottom 10 NFL receiving core? I don't think so. I think they're just going to be middle tier, mediocre, very mid. And like I said, what we've seen on offense, I will take mid at this point. Hopefully you can get some development from Javon Baker and Jalen Polk. And Demario Douglas, solid bread and butter slot receiver that's going to fit perfectly in Josh McDaniels' offense. I'm not worried about him. You still have Kendrick Bourne. You got the Mac Hollins signing. They got some good weapons there. And even at tight end, too. Probably the best tight end room in the NFL. Hunter Henry, Austin Hooper. Who knows what comes from Jaheim Bell. A lot of good tight ends in this draft that they could potentially add. Drake Maye has some weapons now. Are they the best weapons in the league? Maybe better weapons at tight end. Not the best in the league, but he now has something to work with. And the Patriots aren't done, right? They are not done. We still have the draft coming. I don't think this should stop them from drafting Travis Hunter. Now, that Travis Hunter conversation just got a lot more interesting because 2 hours ago, it really seemed like Travis Hunter was going to follow the Patriots. And he still might, and he probably still is a betting favorite. But we just found out that Russell Wilson signed with the New York Giants. So, is that going to stop the Giants from taking a quarterback at 3rd overall? Might they draft Travis Hunter, who, from everything I've heard, the Giants would prefer Travis Hunter over Abdul Carter? I don't know. But we also heard Adam Schefter this morning say that there's real smoke there between the New York Giants and Shadur Sanders. Russell Wilson is not a long-term option, right? And I'm not even sure he's a bridge option. You might just be bringing him in at this point to be competition for the rookie quarterback that you take. So the chances of Travis Hunter falling to the Patriots went down with Russell Wilson signing with the Giants, but I don't think they went down very much. I still think the highest likelihood at this point, Cam Ward, the consensus guy, going to the Tennessee Titans. A lot of smoke around Abdul Carter and the Cleveland Browns. I think they'll take the edge rusher to pair with Myles Garrett, which is terrifying, and just deal with the Deshaun Watson situation and the cap hell that they have to deal with. And then the New York Giants ultimately select Shadur Sanders, get the headlines, get the flashy quarterback, and then Brian Daboll and the coaching staff there hopefully can save their jobs for at least another year, bringing in a hopeful rookie quarterback who may win the job over Russell Wilson or may come in at some point during the season, kind of like Drake Maye with Jacoby Brissett last year. So I don't think this should preclude the Patriots at all from drafting Travis Hunter if he's available, especially because you're not going to have Stefon Diggs potentially till week 6 or 8, right? And you still got the same receiving room that you had before this signing, the first chunk of the season in all likelihood. So having Travis Hunter in there who can be a true number 1 immediately right away and might be your true number 1 even with Stefon Diggs, who would be a strong number 2, well, there you go. Now suddenly you are talking about a top 10 NFL wide receiving core, maybe even better than that. So I'm glad the Patriots finally had the guts to make a big move here. Stefon Diggs, officially a New England Patriot, seems to be a team-friendly deal in the sense that Not a lot of it is guaranteed. Only $26 million is guaranteed. Okay, so we have an updated post here now from Andrew Callahan. The initial terms look good for the Patriots. It's a longer deal, 3 years, so they get a fully healthy Diggs in 2026 and 2027, but the gap in guaranteed money, $26 million, to total money, $69 million, indicates the team can still cut bait in case things go south. So nothing really new there, but yeah, that is good news, because if this doesn't work out with Stefon Diggs, which we know the red flags with the complaining about targets and kind of having a diva personality, a big figurehead in there, a distraction, a guy that Drake Maye is going to have to always be thinking about out there, there's a real chance this doesn't work out. I think it's going to work out great, in all honesty. I really do. But it's good that the Patriots have that out where they're not losing a ton of money. 26 of $69 million guaranteed. Wow, that means $40 million of that is not guaranteed. So that's built in incentives and if he can just stay on the field. So that's interesting. Taylor Cowles writes, have to wonder how the additions of Stefon Diggs and Mac Hollins affect Kendrick Bourne's job security. Yeah, that is true, because Bourne and Diggs, I mean, Josh McDaniels loves having multiple slot receivers out there, right? I mean, we've been talking about the Patriots getting a big-bodied boundary X-wide receiver for years now, right? And they didn't get DK Metcalf. You know, they're probably not going to draft Tet McMillan, who is that guy. But with Josh McDaniels, he's never really needed that guy. You know, Randy Moss was in New England. He was that guy, but they never really had that otherwise with Josh McDaniels. So he's just going to move receivers around in different places. I hope Jalen Polk can be that guy. I think Javon Baker has the athleticism to be that guy and has a higher ceiling than Polk. So Bourne's fit there, I mean, I think really depends a lot on the development of those guys. And, you know, it's good to have another veteran there, but you added Mac Hollins, you added Stefon Diggs. Too many veterans in the room, too many similar veterans? I'm not sure, but yeah, will be interesting to see what happens with Kendrick Bourne. Wouldn't be shocked if he were on the trade block for a team. We know San Francisco really liked him, and he's been in some of those trade talks with the Brandon Ayuk rumors this offseason, last season. I could see that potentially happening. The Patriots, you know, adding a 6th or 7th round pick for him. Maybe you could get maybe a 5th round pick for Kendrick Bourne, but yeah, it's becoming a crowded receiving room right now, and really, if Jalen Polk and Javon Baker develop, then it's super crowded. Demario Douglas, you know, probably still the best receiver in that room with Stefon Diggs not on the field, but yeah, it's starting to get crowded, and if they add Travis Hunter or some mid-round receivers, of which there are many to choose from, you know, they're going to have to make some moves, and maybe that involves moving on quickly from Jalen Polk or Javon Baker. I don't think that's going to happen, but that could happen, or trading a guy like Kendrick Bourne. So we'll see how that plays out. But let me know in the comments what you think about the Stefon Diggs signing. Are you happy? Are you upset that we're only getting Diggs as fans until maybe midway through the season? Curious to hear from you and how you think this will play out in terms of the draft, what the Patriots will do in free agency. Still have to address left tackle. Like I said, I recorded a podcast, just wrapped up minutes before the news broke. That will come out tomorrow morning, so keep an eye out for that. I break down all of the tackles in the draft if the Patriots don't take a tackle at 4th overall, what I think they should do. Don't really get into free agency, just talking about guys. So I rule out Will Campbell and Armin Membu. Everybody else is on the table. Really interesting names coming out of that. So keep an eye out for that. Tomorrow morning, we'll have a new podcast that already is pre-recorded. A name to watch out for there, by the way, Charles Grant, William and Mary. I think that's a guy. He might be the steal. Also, Ozzie Trapilo, Boston College. A lot of fun information coming out about that guy over the last couple of days. So tune in tomorrow for the next episode of Pat's Cast. But let me know what you think on the Stefon Diggs signing below in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, hit the notification bell, or subscribe if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Again, we'll be back tomorrow morning with a new podcast, all tackle talk.
We ain't digging no more. He's landed in town. Stefon's with the Patriots now. 3 years, 69. right where he should.